I said, plug me in. I got stuff to talk about, damn it. I'll crawl out of my earbuds once a week to give you a show. That's what I do, folks. I do this show for the common man, for the people in despair. I bring this show into the world and I sell it everywhere. The simple truth lies waiting here, folks, for all of you to share. Hold on, I will take you there. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. Hey, let's give you a scene from the oldest building in Hollywood just seconds ago. Hey, Mike, are you ready? Point. And now we're doing a show, folks. Look at that. We're hitting the ground running right now at the oldest building in Hollywood. I will tell you this, folks. I don't care for this, quite frankly. I like to do, I've been doing the show in the afternoon. I've been coming in around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 2 o'clock, I mean 4 o'clock. You know what I mean? So, well, look, all right, in the old days, we used to do it on Tuesday. Well, fuck, let's not even talk about in the old days, I did it at my house with Eric. So I never even had to fucking go anywhere. I didn't even have pants on. Eric would come over. I wouldn't have any pants on. He would set it up, and he would spend the whole time cleaning a gun while I would just talk in a space, and then he would leave my house. It was great. It worked out fantastically. If you don't believe me, by year one, you can actually hear me trying to tell a story, and Eric is there taking apart a gun. You can actually hear the parts and the cleaning and the oil and the slide. And then I will tell you this, though. In the middle of a crucial part of one of the stories, I think it was in episode 5, all of a sudden he just starts going, "This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun." And I'm like, Eric, trying to tell a story here, sir. And he pointed the gun at me, and then I told the story at gunpoint. So I actually, you know what? I missed those days. Actually, I was probably better telling a story when I had a gun in my face. Lily, I think you need to go ahead and get your Glock. Where's your Glock? Your Glock is all locked up? Because I do, as I've talked about in here many times before, we are in the oldest building in Hollywood, and I don't know if it's for protection, I don't know if it's for fun, I don't know if it's for fighting, or I don't know if it's for fun, but I can tell you the stripper who runs my podcast has a gun. She's got it somewhere hidden here in the building. There's a bag of Tootsie Pops, perhaps it's at the bottom of that. I don't know. Perhaps it's in the box of Ritz crackers that I stopped and brought you last week. I don't know. Look, we're taking a walk down memory lane, folks. Remember a couple of weeks ago when I talked about Tootsie Pops? Remember when I talked about Ritz crackers last week? Let's revisit the ghosts of snacks past. That's what I'm talking about. The ghost of Christmas snacks past. All the Christmas snacks are out now. Dude, what the fuck? Pepperidge Farm, dude. Those guys, they don't fuck around. I mean, when I was a kid, there used to be an old dude. He's like, Pepperidge Farm remembers. Well, now Pepperidge Farm just is, all they do is just blast you over the fucking head with peppermint and pumpkin. It's like, holy fucking God. They must have, and look, we all know we're all pumpkin out, right? Pumpkin is death. I went and saw Jill a few weeks ago, and I'm a sap. I won't lie. I go to Walmart, and Jill makes fun of me because I love going to Walmart. And look, I understand it's slave labor. I get that, okay? I understand that I walk in the front there and I'm like, wow, look at these cheap kettle chips. And in the back, there's 1,000 Korean kids who you can see their ribs and they're making kettle chips in the back somehow. I know that. And that's unfortunate, but you know what? I'm white, so it's okay. I can go ahead and do that and not worry about it, right? I'm an American. I'm a white American. I can go ahead and eat slave labor food and not have to fucking worry about it. All I gotta do is hope I don't find some Korean finger in my fucking bag of chips. By the way, why are the Koreans the slave laborers? I thought it was the Chinese, right? Aren't the Chinese the ones doing it? I don't know, somewhere in Asia. Maybe it's the Thais. Oh my gosh, the Thailand people? Taiwanese? Or no, Taiwan is different than Thailand, right? Thailand and Taiwan, two different places. Taiwan, they make baseballs. Thailand, they make ladyboy hookers. So, interesting fact, ladyboy hookers, more stitches than your average baseball. Yeah! Who's great? I'm great. That's it. We're done. Honestly, you can't top that joke on the fly. Your average ladyboy hooker, more stitches than a baseball. Dude, I'm fucking good. So anyway, I go to Walmart. I shop around there. Like I said, slave labor. Here's what I'll do. This is the way I work it. All right. Here's life at Jill's when I'm there. Jill, her schedule is kind of funky for work, so she has to work early, like super early. You know what I mean? So, and I don't want to say when, because all right, this is funny. All right, I'm a weirdo, dudes. I could not be more like overprotective and strange. Like, whenever Jill tells somebody something, I'm like, why did you tell them that? And she's like, what do you mean? And I go, well, now they know that about you. And she's like, so what? What does it matter if people know where I work or what time I leave my house? I'm like, yeah, but then there's going to be like a posse of fucking ninjas out by your garage and they're going to fucking tackle you and I'll never see you again. And that probably gets more to my abandonment issues than anything else, I would imagine, folks. because I don't want anything to happen to her because I finally found something cool and awesome and something I want to keep for the rest of my life. And I can't possibly risk the fact that a posse of ninjas will come in and fucking steal her. You know, I tried to say posse and passel at the same time there. That wasn't good. Is there a passel of ninjas? Or can there be a passel? There can be a satchel of ninjas. Those are tiny ninjas. Oh my God, dude, what if there was a satchel full of ninjas? See, I buy that. That's like Barrel of Monkeys. What if there's a barrel of monkeys and a satchel of ninjas, and then they have a fight? Dude, a monkey ninja fight? Holy God, is that awesome. Now, all right, let me ask you this. Now, seriously, let me run this by you. You got a barrel full of monkeys and a satchel full of ninjas, and you square them off. You can't... I mean, look, in a bare hand fight, it's all monkeys, right? Monkeys take out the ninjas. Ninjas are sneaky and stuff, but they would land so many blows on the fucking monkeys, but nothing's going to happen to them because they're chimps and they're rageful and they're going to go insane. They're going to peel those ninjas like a bunch of fucking black-clad bananas, right? That's going to happen. But if you give the ninjas the standard ninja battle weapons, if there's a ninja who shows up with some nunchucks, he's going to fuck up a chimp, right? That monkey's doomed.
What if you give the monkey nunchucks?
Hold on a second.
They can work with tools, I've heard.
Sounds to me like you've just changed the game, Lily Von Stupp.
I'm in for this now.
Let me ask you this. What if we gave the monkeys nunchucks, but we gave the ninjas bananas?
Holy shit!
Do they use the bananas as a way to trick the monkeys out of the nunchucks and then fucking wail on them with the nunchucks? I think they have to, right?
It's a ballroom.
Oh my God, wait, I've got it. I figured it out. Here, and this is truly an impossible situation. What if somehow, hear me out. Now we know ninjas, their standard garb is the black. They wear the black ninja pajama, the black feet, the little shoes, and they pad about like ninja children, and they come out and they school you. Yes, it's very soft and quiet. It's like falling snow. It's like deadly falling snow. That's what ninjas are. They're deadly falling snow. But hear me out. What if those ninjas were stripped of their traditional ninja garb? They did not get to wear the black suits. They did not get to wear the black shoes. And instead, in their battle with the monkeys, these ninjas were forced to perform while wearing the Bruce Lee yellow Game of Death tracksuit. Now, you would think that there would be ease of use and they would be able to breathe a little more and maybe be a little more flexible in their fighting. But they just look like giant fucking bananas to these monkeys, right?
Yep.
And these monkeys go off and destroy these ninjas in that fight. Dude, although, wait a minute. Maybe the monkeys don't actually have any rage for the giant bananas. Like, they want to eat them, right? That's what they would want to do. They'd want to peel them. Fuck, that's a weird standoff. Because you know what? You could lull the monkeys to sleep by wearing the Game of Death tracksuit by them thinking you're a giant banana. And then they get close enough, and then you whop them out with the fucking ninja stuff. You throw a little spin kick on them. Hit them in their monkey skull. Right in their fucking brow. Their monkey brow. When Jill and I went to the zoo, there were orangutans, and they were sitting way up in the net. And they were just like, it was so funny. Dude, when you go to the zoo, these orangutans were like, because it was the thing, it was like we're in the orangutan house or the pen or whatever the fuck. But they had like a trampoline and a fucking net and all this shit. I'm like, are they going to do tricks or why is this stuff in the fucking, you know what it looked like? It like a circus just came by and said, hey, can we store all this shit here for the summer while we're not on the road? So we walked in, and there's one orangutan that we saw, and he's sitting way up in a net. And we're looking at him, and he's just staring down at all of us. And then, you know what, at that moment, you know what I said to myself, folks? Who's really in the zoo here? Who's really in the zoo? And then I pretended there was a bug in Jill's hair, and she jumped. All right, so... I got to call that it depends. It all depends on what they're wearing. If they wear the Game of Death tracksuits, I go monkeys. I got to say monkeys. Because the ninjas can kind of get limber and all that. And I really don't think that the monkeys would be like googly-eyed like they were in love with the giant bananas. I think they would want to eat them. And so they'd lose it a little bit. They'd kind of panic. And they would outthink themselves. And then the ninjas would take advantage of all that excitement. So if the ninjas had weapons, like standard weapons. Oh, I should tell you this. When Jill and I were in New York, we were in Chinatown. Dudes. And first of all, we were trying to figure out, again, we just wanted to be New Yorkers when we were in New York. And we were like, they were just going to be fantastic, go out and do this stuff. And I told you I already went to the fucking 9/11 museum, and that was a fucking drag. It was awesome and amazing, and you have to do it, but holy God, what a mess. Jesus Christ. So, but then the next day, I was like, I'd like to take you to Chinatown. Because I went to New York's Chinatown with Seth and Brandy. And Seth and Brandy wanted to just buy counterfeit watches like the whole time we were there. I was like, I'm eating I'm eating street egg rolls and they're negotiating with like 75-year-old men about whether or not they should buy the gremlins and if they should get them wet. I mean, it was like this insane fucking negotiation. So Jill, I was like, we got to go there. It's totally fun. And I go, there's people who want to sell you all this knockoff stuff and you can negotiate. And she's like, all right, well, I'll go there. So we went to Chinatown and we were looking at shops and we were looking and they were selling like dragon fruit and then they were selling like fucking eels. And we went into a shop and they had like ground rhinoceros horn and all that kind of bullshit, like for your, which is supposed to give you a hard on, I think. Isn't that what ground rhinoceros horn is supposed to do? It is. It's like for virility because the package, because again, it's literally, I know that they think there's some sort of property or whatever, but it's like, dude, no, rhinoceros horn, that's not a cock. Like, it doesn't get soft and hard. It's not like the rhino's hard all the time. So if you grind that up, you'll get the secret of the hard rhino horn. That's just ivory and it's on his face. So it's not like eating that is going to make your cock hard. It's just the weirdest chemistry or algebra or calculus problem. Just like by the transitive property of the rhino horn, that if you eat it, eventually you will have a hard horn on you like a cock that's sticking out of you, but it's a rhino face. I mean, if anything, eating a rhino horn would give you a hard cock on your forehead, right? Wouldn't you think that? I mean, it just seems like the weirdest suggestion of like, oh yeah, this is hard on a rhino's face, so if you eat it, you're going to get hard immediately. It's like, no, dude, you're going to go, ugh, my mouth tastes like rhino, and then you're going to want to take a fucking nap. Like, nobody's going to get a fucking hard on because they ate a rhino face, right? Unless you're a chimpanzee. Hold on. Here's what we do. We arm the chimpanzees and they battle the rhinos. Now. Winner gets the ninjas. We were, so we're walking through Chinatown and we're looking in shops. And it was so funny. I told her, I said, there's going to be these people and they're going to come up and they're going to try to negotiate. They're going to try to sell you knockoff purses and knockoff stuff. And Jill's like, okay. Because I should tell you this, Jill has never been out of Wisconsin, ever. Ever. Even when she comes to California, she's in a box of Wisconsin that I have to carry her around in all the time. It's got cheese and it's got beer because she's not allowed to be out of Wisconsin for any length of time. Like in the old Batman series, Mr. Freeze had to stay in like a cold room all the time. That's what Jill has to find Wisconsin at some point to regenerate herself or else she's going to fucking die. It's terrible because she's been there her whole life. So when I'm able to get her out, but dude, I will tell you this. It's so funny to see her want to be out of there. Like because we'll go to Wisconsin, everything's fine. I'm just like, what are we going to do? She's like, I don't know. We can go here, we can do this. And we're happy to be together. That's all we want to do. But then literally there's nothing, you go to bars. That's all these people do in this fucking town. It's insane to me. Again, like I said, there's like 75 bars in our fucking town. And the thing is for people, they'll go to a bar one night and then the next night they go to a different bar and they consider that going out. That's not, no, you went to a bar last night. Well, no, and this is a different bar. Holy fuck, it's still the same stuff. It's still the dark wood, the musty smell, and the fucking stale beer. That's what it is. Holy Jesus Christ. It's the same place, different fucking sign. Even the same people are there. Whatever. So when she comes to California, she's like, let's go have sushi or do something or just sit in the sun forever. Like she just wants to be in the sun the whole fucking time. And I'm like, yes, let's do that. And we always joke around. She's just like, I always said to her, I'm like, come home, just come home. And she's like, I really want to. And then she'll say stuff like, steal me and take me. And I'm like, you say that like I won't. Like, I mean, I will literally hit you on the head with a rolling pin and put you in a sack. Don't you understand that? And I will take you to California and you'll wake up and you'll be like, when do I go home? And you're not going home. You stay here now. You and the lump on your head. And here's the rolling pin. Get busy. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trap her and make her bake.
Good luck.
Idiot. Oh no, she made, she told me about something that like her grandmother used to make with brown butter. Like because I didn't know what, I've always seen brown butter on the Food Network or whatever. And she's like, no, she goes, you know what I'm going to make? She goes, when you watch the football game, I'm going to make popcorn and I'm going to make brown butter and I'm going to put it on there. And I was like, oh, that's okay. I'll try it. And so she tried it. And the thing is, but there's like brown butter, we're eating it and it was crazy delicious. I mean, it was so good. And it made the popcorn taste different. Like, I mean, popcorn is popcorn. It's still really good. But then she put this brown butter on there and I can't even explain the taste. It tasted like a meal almost. Like it was like a weird combination of popcorn. If popcorn had crispy chicken skin on it. Does that make any sense? Like savory, delicious, like this weird spices. It was so good. And then we were eating it and then, and our hands like were covered in brown butter and that's fun. All right. So, That stuff gets everywhere. All right, so if you let it, and so when I'm at her place, I don't. I'm protective, and so like I said, I don't tell people where you're going or what you're. It's just weird. So anyway, so here's the thing. This is what I was talking about. I think she works early, so I always say, hey, I'll take you to work, and then I'll drop her off and I'll take the car, and always on the way home I stop at Walmart. I go to Walmart. This is how it works. I will drive her to work. I'll drop her off, and then I will stop at Walmart on the way home, and then I will just send her photographs of everything that's at Walmart. And I'll be like, hey, do we need this? Hey, do we need eye patches? Hey, do we need these things? And then she's just like, I don't know what you're doing, but that's fine. Because she's at work. She's trying to work. And I'm just sending her photos. Because I'm selfish. And so again, you're going to think this is ridiculous. Like, I don't even want to spend that half hour without her where she has to drive to work by herself. Like, I want to spend, because I'm only there for like a week. So I want to spend every possible minute that I can, and I know it seems odd. And so I would insist on driving her to work. And then finally, she kind of made it clear that she's like, hey, you don't have to drive me to work. And I was like, I know I don't have to, but I really want to. And then she's like, you just don't drive me to work anymore because because honestly, she has a routine. She gets up. She knows exactly what time she has to get up. She knows how long it takes to get dressed and showered and I'm, sitting there like an idiot going, yay, look, oh, we're going to work. This is fun. Hey, it's nice outside. Oh, it's kind of dark. Oh my gosh, it's kind of cold. And she's just like, oh my God, can I literally, because I'm smothering the hell out of her is what I'm doing. I'm absorbing every fucking second with her that I possibly can. When in reality, all I'm doing is I'm just clinging desperately to her because I'm like, please don't go. And it's like, she's not going anywhere. She's going to fucking work. And it's this weird, this will sound really strange, but, and it might speak to a little bit about who I am as a guy. Like I think it's a good thing to want to take her to work because I think that I'm showing her that I love her and I want to be with her. But at the same time, I'm the little girl who found Snoopy. Ma, I found a dog. Can I keep her? Oh my God, look at this dog. He's amazing. Can I keep him? He's the greatest. And I'm like slapping it around and it's like, dude, she just wants to go to work in peace in the morning and maybe listen to the radio and drink some coffee. Leave her the fuck alone. And she also was like, hey, why don't you just stay in bed? Honey, I don't want you to get up. It's okay. Just sleep. And I'm like, oh no, I'm up. It's only, whatever time. Oh, I'm yawning. And she's just like, stay in bed. Because I can't, I'm constantly clinging and fucking, I just have to stop. I have to stop. Right? Right? I was at work today. I delivered something. And the girl behind the counter, she was like, hey, do you guys have your receipt slips? And I go, what was that, baby? And I go, and literally there was a beat. I said, what was that, baby? And she looked at me and I go, I did not mean to call you baby at all. Like, that was horrible that I called you baby. She goes, no, it's okay. And I go, because I'm with my girlfriend all the time. So I say baby. And it becomes this casual shorthand. And I did not mean that. And I go, plus, I am not in the Rat Pack. I promise you, I am not in the Rat Pack. That would be the only other excuse. Like if she and I were dating this woman or I was in the Rat Pack, that's the only way you can get away with calling somebody baby. Or if I was Kojak. Literally, if I was Kojak, I can get away with it. Those are the only 3 instances where you can get away with calling a woman you don't know baby. And so she was super cool. You know what I mean? She was just like, no, don't worry about it. And because she's like 24 or something. And she just, again, I'm just this 48-year-old oddity who's coming in and delivering ribs to her fucking company. So she sees me all the goddamn time. So if I was a creep all the time, it would be totally different. But today it was I was an accident. Hey, baby. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing, stupid? Because I knew it in the second I said it. I go, what was that, baby? I did not mean to call you baby. Oh my God, that was terrible, right? And she was just kind of like, no, don't worry about it. And then I had to assure her I wasn't in the Rat Pack. And then literally, I should have just left it at baby. Because when I said I'm not in the Rat Pack, I'm guaranteeing the 24-year-old woman when I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know who the Rat Pack is. It's like when I see all these stories now about they're like Bill Cosby totally raped somebody. And I'm sure there's a generation of people going, I don't know why anybody cares about this black grandfather and his predilections. I don't get it. But they don't understand that he was this gigantic star for the longest time. And I'm sure there are some people who grew up watching him in reruns or whatever the fuck. So they have some touchstone to who he is. But I'll tell you what, I was less shocked to hear that Bill Cosby had raped people than I was to hear that Red Fox had shot Larry Flint. That was really surprising to me when I heard that. You don't think that? I don't know, man. I hear, Facebook tells me a lot of stories.
That's not true.
No, because I had heard that Steve Harvey is an ISIS. Is that true? I heard Steve Harvey is an ISIS. I saw him behead an American journalist. I saw Steve Harvey behead an American journalist because he's an ISIS. Didn't you hear that? I did not know Flip Wilson ran a dogfighting ring. I had no clue. Flip Wilson ran a dogfighting ring. Did you not know that?
Flip Wilson.
That's right.
You went Flip.
Red Fox shot Larry Flint. All right. I just because I heard the Cosby story and I was just like, you know what? I got to be honest with you. When I heard the Bill Cosby story, I thought exactly what all of you thought. Why couldn't this have been George Lopez? Right? And by the way, that works on either side of the story. Why couldn't it have been George Lopez raping everybody? Or why couldn't it have been George Lopez who was raped by Bill Cosby? I'm fine with either of those. But I don't know if you heard this. Robin Williams killed someone. Did you hear that? George Lopez stole his wife's liver. Literally, that is a true story. George Lopez stole his wife's liver in the night like a ghoul. She woke up in their Hispanic bathtub and went, "Ay, ay," because her liver was gone. And look, I have no idea what a Hispanic bathtub is, but I guarantee if there is one, George Lopez owns it because he wants you to realize that he's Hispanic. Doesn't matter what else he's got going on. He will make sure to tell you that there's a Z in his fucking name. That's the first thing coming out of his mouth. I don't know the man. I've never met him. I do know this. Could not be less funny. Like, not in a million years. And the weirdest fucking thing, dude, he's one of those dudes, like I said, I grew up watching the Brady Bunch and all that shit in reruns. And the Brady Bunch is awful. It's awful. But I watched it all the time, every night. And I could probably do all the fucking episodes word for word when they come on. But it's just sort of that casual thing that was on and we didn't fucking care and it was on TV. Well, for an entire generation of people, that's the George Lopez show. Because in the middle of the night, I don't know if you've ever gone on Twitter at like 2 a.m, George Lopez is trending, and I'm always hoping he died. Like, literally, I'm always finding myself going, finally, will this be the night that they found him floating face down in his Hispanic bathtub? With his organs in a cooler next to him? As he ghoulishly stole his wife's liver? That's the truth, look it up. I'm not telling tales out of school there. Even worse, George Lopez stole his wife's liver, let Bill Cosby in to fuck the wound. That's what happened. Terrible. All right, maybe I went a little far there. Maybe. I'm not conceding anything. And did you know that George Lopez's wife woke up without a liver? Dripping with Cosby essence, and she looked in the mirror and it said, "Welcome to the wonderful world of..." I don't even know how you spell it. But the weird thing is she pronounced it perfectly on the 911 call. You ever heard it? Go find it. It's on the internet. It is amazing. And again, look, I'm old, so I don't care about the country falling apart and things that are happening. Look, we all voted in Republicans 2 weeks ago, and they're gonna clean up this town, I guess. I don't know what's gonna happen. All I know is that they're coming down hard on net neutrality, so I can't make jokes about Bill Cosby fucking George Lopez's wife's liver wound or whatever the fuck I just said. You know, I almost said George Lopez. Maybe he does that. Maybe, you know what? Maybe when this story gets out, he changes it to Lopez. He starts talking in an Irish brogue and carrying a shillelagh. Let me ask you this. 14 leprechauns against chimps. Leprechauns with shillelaghs. I could still go chimps. No. Chimps. You know why? Because chimps, you know why? Here's why. Leprechauns all have a pot of gold. Chimps see yellow. They think it's bananas. They fucking take them apart trying to get at it. Why do I think chimps transform into like Supermen for bananas? They're just mad, period, because they're monkeys. That's why they tear the... everybody's like, oh my God, why would they attack a human? You know why monkeys are pissed? Because they're stalled in the evolution fucking scale. And they're like, dude, I should totally be a human. So then they're like mad at it, and then so they're going to take out all humans. Didn't you see that movie? I was on a plane. They were showing that movie. I haven't seen any of the new Planet of the Apes. I own the DVD of the first re-released one. I don't even know anymore. There's like 75 of them, right? How many times are apes going to take over this planet? Holy God. About as many times as the X-Men take over this planet. Oh, Christ. All right, what was I talking about? I think I was talking about Chinatown, right? Yes, I was.
Yes.
Not, not the Thin Lizzy song, but venturing to Chinatown with my lovely Jill. And we get there and we took the subway and I told her, I go, there's going to be people trying to sell you stuff. And she's like, really? And I'm not joking. Within 15 seconds of walking up the street, they're just like, oh, handbag, handbag, oh, handbag, handbag, handbag. And, they wanted to take us basically to the back of a Walmart and show us the Koreans making the handbags. But we did not negotiate for a handbag because they had, they sell handbags, and that was the other thing that they always sell. There's, oh my god, the dude sprayed me with cologne. Like there was one dude, this Indian guy, and he's like, oh, it smells really sexy, delicious for lady, and he like fucking doused me. It was almost like he's like, come in the shop, and then when I opened the door, they had the bucket of cologne on the door, like that trick where it just douses all over you, just. I'm like, oh, okay. Like all of a sudden, I thought I was in the Nickelodeon Teen Choice Awards, and I was getting slimed by fucking Indian cologne. And so they had Drakkar, but they call it Drakkar. It was okay. Some of it smelled good, but I was like, I can't. But I can't. You know what's funny? I have cologne, but I can't. Like I don't wear cologne because I smell like me, and that's the way I should smell because I'm old, right? You can't wear cologne anymore. But then I can't get a read on Jill, like if she would like cologne or not. Like because I had her, because I have stuff that's nice, and then I had her smell it, and she was like, ooh, and then I was in my head, I'm like, yeah, but if I put that on, then I can't be cologne guy, right? I can't be that anymore. Why are you rolling your eyes at me? I'm serious. Just seems weird.
You have issues.
What do you mean I have issues?
You have issues.
No, because
The issues.
Drakkar. So, dude, we're in Chinatown and we're walking around. And this was my favorite thing we did. We saw a bunch of stuff and they had eels and fucking all that stuff. But then there was the fruit shops. We stayed late, then we went to fucking Little Italy. Which you know what, Little Italy is boring. It is so bad. It is just, unless you see somebody get rubbed out on a street corner, there's really no reason to go to fucking Little Italy. It's just literally they're selling cheese. There was a dude and he's like, what did he said? The finest cannoli in the land or whatever the fuck. So we had a cannoli and Jill and I are like, it's pretty good cannoli. I don't know if it's the finest in the land, and it's my fault. Maybe I don't have the educated Italian palate to know the differences in cannolis, but all cannoli kind of, you know what it tastes like to me? Cannoli. That's what it tastes like. And it can still be fresh or cold or delicious. There's all sorts of different things. But look, let's put it this way. If I have bad cannoli, I would know because it would just taste like it would taste like sour and awful and pathetic, right? And it would be a soggy shell. But otherwise, if you do cannoli the right way or you just do cannoli the way cannoli's supposed to be done, then it's like, yeah, it's cannoli. So Little Italy, though, is a bust, man. You're just walking around and it's just, red, white, and green everywhere. And these people are like, Brooklyn! And we're like, oh, Christ, get me out of here. So we went back to Chinatown, which is more fun because it has boxes of exotic spices. And then there's people haggling on street corners and stuff like that. Nobody's haggling with you in Little Italy. They're all trying to get you into the trunk of a car so they can take you out to the Pine Barrens. So we went to Chinatown. I will tell you this. We found one shop. We kept ducking into shops for cool stuff. And oh, my God, dude. We walked into this one shop. This guy had to have, I'm going to say 5,000 Teach Yourself Martial Arts DVDs. Like they were just, and I looked at Jill and I go, you are really lucky that David isn't here. I said, because fucking Mex and I would get lost in this stupid store because it was all weapons and self-defense DVDs. But by, Grasshopper Masters, like those dudes, you know what I mean? It's not like, Chuck Norris teaches you how to defend yourself. No, it was like fucking Master Lu Ping, and he's like this dude who's in a fucking robe with a crazy beard, and he's like, I will teach you my Screaming Eagle technique. And I'm like, oh my God, I must know the Screaming Eagle technique. And Jill's just looking at me like, is it you like this stuff? And I'm like, I could be in here for 4 hours, like looking at this, because they had on the wall, he had nunchucks. All right. But even more cooler to me, he had size, like sets of size. And so I took them down and I'm like spinning them in my hand, like kind of like fucking around with them. And Jill's just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I go, dude, are you kidding me? I go, if David was here, he and I would just fuck around with all of this stuff forever. I go, I don't even want to leave this store ever again. This is amazing. And she's just looking at me and I'm like, yeah, this is all right. This is a little bit more about me. I'm 13 years old. Let's get out of here before I buy a sai. Like literally, because that's what I wanted to buy, a set of sais. And then there's a whole new problem because how the fuck am I going to get them home? You know what I mean? I can't get on the plane with any fucking size. So we had to get out of there. But Jesus Christ, was it great? It was just, again, it was all these martial arts DVDs and these fucking weapons and throwing stars, dude. Because then in your head you're just like, you know what? Maybe if I just buy a throwing star. But again, I can't. There's no way you can get a throwing star on the plane these days anymore. The good old days are gone, folks.
Yes, they are.
Because what is a throwing star other than a 5-pointed box cutter? Really, when you think about it. Dude, you ever try to cut a box open with a throwing star from across the room? Awesome. I would do it all day. We were walking through Chinatown, and it was getting dark and it was getting a little cold in New York where we were, and so it was like all the guys who run the fish markets, they're cutting the prices and they're slashing the prices because that fish has been there all day, and nobody bought it, so they just got to get rid of it because they got the fresh stuff coming in the morning, and that's when all of these, it was like. There's a great scene in Escape from New York where the crazies come out from the fucking sewers and they feed. They do it once a month. Well, imagine that scene, but with 85-year-old Chinese people. Because it was just men and women with like wispy beards and no hair and like crazy, like wobbly legs. And they were just buying old shrimp. Like it was just, I'm watching it and I'm like, because it made me die. I will tell you this, because you're always told don't eat bad seafood, don't eat mussels that don't open, don't eat shrimp that's old or been out on a counter. And, these motherfuckers are like 90 and they obviously spend their lives eating bad shrimp. That's their whole deal. So I'm wondering if they've just become completely immune to the effects of bad seafood from eating it for so long, or if they're all here from like Nagasaki and they were affected by the radiation in a way where their stomachs are not affected by poisonous seafood. Like I can't figure it out. And I almost wanted to ask, but of course I don't speak Mandarin any longer. I've forgotten it. I forgot all of my Mandarin. So there was no way. And well, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I do speak a little Mandarin, but these people all spoke Cantonese. So it was just literally, we're just talking past one another at that point. So eventually I just grabbed a tray of silverware and I threw it into the gutter and they all answered me. So it was like, great. So we were walking and then the fruit guys, they were putting out their like half price fruit and Jill, because they had, they had apples and fucking grapes and whatever the fuck else, but then they had the like weird fruit and they had star fruit and all that stuff. So then they had dragon fruit and the dragon fruit, like this, it was like $2 for $1. And Jill's like, let's buy this. I'm like, what are we going to do with it? She's like, well, we'll eat it. And I'm like, how? I wouldn't even know. I said, I've seen it on the Food Network, but I don't know the first fucking thing about what you do with it. She's like, what does it taste like? I said, I don't know. She goes, well, let's find out. Because she was like all up for it. I go, all right, I'm in. Let's get some fucking dragon fruit. So we bought 2 dragon fruits and we brought them to the room. And then we stayed in New York for a few days and then we were going to leave and we saw the dragon fruit still on the dresser and I said, we got to eat this now, right? Don't we? And so we did. We peeled it open and we tore it up and we squeezed, because it was like if you've ever seen the inside of a dragon fruit, it looks, it's white, like all white fruit flesh, but with black dots all inside. So you know what it looks like? You ever see those candies, like nonpareils, that have the white on top of a chocolate star? You know what I mean? Like it's a chocolate star, but then the white sprinkles. Think of that in reverse. So it's like, it's all white with black dots inside instead of like chocolate with white on top. And I'm like, all right, you ready to try this? And she's like, yeah. And so we scooped it out and we ate it. And, it was dragon fruit that had been on our dresser in the Waldorf Astoria for 2 days. And we cut it open and we ate it. And you know what it tasted like? It tasted like nothing at all. Like literally no flavor whatsoever. I don't know if it had flavor and the flavor evaporated over 2 days. Or if dragon fruit is one of those things where it's like, oh, you must enjoy the texture, sir. And then you put a syrup on it or something. I don't know. But I can tell you this. It didn't taste like any fruit I've ever had before. And it certainly didn't taste like dragon, which I was expecting it to do.
What would that taste like?
Dragon? Well, I look, I'm not so sure I can say for certain, but I can tell you this. It wouldn't taste like the thing I ate in the fucking hotel room. It wouldn't taste like dragon fruit. Are you okay? Did we freeze? What's happening?
Pitaya is what it's called.
Pitaya.
Dragon fruit is pitaya.
Okay. Well, you see what it looks like, right? You can see that it's all like kind of white with the black inside. We're Googling, folks. We're Googling pitaya / dragon fruit.
It looks like a beautiful flower on the outside and looks like mush covered with ants on the inside to me.
Well, I can tell you this. It certainly tasted like mush covered with ants.
What was the texture?
Like a slushy, like shaved ice. Like almost like it kind of broke into small pieces when you ate it. You know what I mean? It wasn't solid like an apple. It was almost like the flesh was soft, and when you chewed it, it kind of came apart. But it was so funny. I mean, I peeled it. I tore it open with my hands, and it was easy to peel because it looks daunting. I mean, it looks like a trap. It looks like, Chinese finger cuffs. I think it's a Chinese finger fruit. Like, I thought if I was going to jam my fingers in there, they get trapped. But instead, it turned out where I tore it apart, and then we ate it, and it was so anticlimactic because we waited 2 days, and we looked at each other and we're like, "You ready? You ready?"
Too long, that's why.
Well, here's the thing. If it would have been terrible, it would have been better. Because I will tell you this: every one of the Chinese the fruit markets, they were selling durian, and I wanted to buy the durian. I didn't want to eat it. I just wanted to cut it open. Do you know what durian is?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had durian ice cream. And, I heard that durian smells like dirty diapers. Like, it's disgusting. It's like the most foul smell you'll ever smell if you cut it open. But they said it's really delicious and a creamy fruit and whatever the fuck. You got to get past the smell. Who knows? So I've never had a durian fruit, and I've never cut one open. But I did go to the Asian specialty market, and I bought durian ice cream pops. And you know what it tastes like? Frozen dirty diapers. That's exactly what it tastes like. Because I don't know if they think, let's put it this way, if they think they've gotten the smell out for the ice cream, then I don't know what it smelled like before they turned it into fucking ice cream, because it is just gruesome. Like, I tasted it, and it had this nasty, bitter aftertaste, and it was gross. I hated it. I didn't like it. And it made me, because I'll try just about fucking anything. You know what I mean? Like, I told you I've tricked Jill into eating stuff that she probably didn't want to eat. And when we went to Chinatown, there were restaurants like that, and I go, let's just, because she was hungry, and I go, we'll just eat food, we'll just get real food, and she's like, are you sure? And I go, yeah, it's fine, because she's always a yes, and she's always game to try stuff, but then if she's hungry, she'll be like, look, I just want to eat food, like, I don't want to eat something's face, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, I can deal with that. So we went to a restaurant, in Chinatown, and again, it was that same thing where we ordered like 3 dishes, and they came out, and I couldn't even see Jill past them. You know what I mean? It's just there's this giant bowl in front of me, and I'm like, literally, I'm cleaving through a curtain of plum sauce to try to find my girlfriend. Hello? So much food. It's ridiculous. What's wrong? And that's in Chinatown, because I was going to say, in America, the portions are so huge, but this is in fucking Chinatown. That's not America. And what are you doing with the crazy portions, for fuck's sake? It was huge. It was gigantic. It was so big that the tables were all so close to one another. I asked the 2 guys next to me, I'm like, hey, do you want some of this, man? Because we are never going to eat all this. And so we wound up just fucking leaving, and it's fine. But, actually, we took the leftovers. And, I'll tell you this story. We took the leftovers, and then we walked around New York. We were all over the place, and we didn't want to throw anything away. Here's what Jill and I do. Like I said, we go and we buy food, we eat 2 bites of it, and then we try to figure out what to do with the rest. We always decide that we're going to give it to hobos. Because we think that's a nice thing to do, and I don't want to fucking throw it away, and neither does she. And so we carry it, and we walk around. We actually hold the leftovers, because again, we can't go to the hotel room. There's no fridge, and we can't just put it on the counter. I mean, our whole dresser is covered in dragon fruit, so you can't possibly find space for it there. So we have to bring the leftovers out and give it to the less fortunate. And that seems like it would be a nice thing to do. Do you know how difficult it is to give away food to hobos these days? I didn't realize that how hard it would. And this happens. This isn't just. It wasn't a New York thing. Like, in New York, you would think they would be on guard or whatever against the hobo poisoner. I don't know what the fuck they thought we were doing, but it started in San Diego. Jill and I went to San Diego to a baseball game. We went to see the Padres. And we saw the Padres and the Rockies. But beforehand, we went across the street. We were in Lolita's Mexican Grill, I think it was called. And it was another one of those things. I actually put a picture up on Facebook of it in July. We ordered just a ridiculous amount of food. I ordered street tacos. I ordered, I don't even remember. It was just a gigantic 2 plates of food. And then when we were ordering the food, they had something called tsunami fries. And they were on the menu, and I was like, wow, those look really good. And she goes, well, get them. And I go, no, we already got so much food. She goes, get them. Do you want them? We'll try them. And I go, all right. So we ordered tsunami fries. And the tsunami fries were basically French fries with steak and shrimp and sauce and salsa. And like essentially like fries, but nachos, but with tons of meat and shrimp on top. And so we order it, and we go sit down. And they come walking out. I think it took 2 people to bring us our order. That's how big this fucking food was. I had street tacos, and then I had a regular plate of food as well. And she got an enchilada, and then we got these tsunami fries. I took a picture on Facebook, and I tried to put it up. And we had to take 2 different photos to make sure I got all of the food in the picture. Like we had to... The first one I snapped, I'm like, we can't see the tsunami fries. We must have more tsunami fries. I felt like a fucking baby photographer at Kmart. Smile! So I'm moving everything around as much as I could. And finally we got a picture that really kind of conveyed exactly everything we had. I was going to make Jill put her hands in the thing so you could see the scale of like her hands to the food because it was just gigantic. So that happened and we ate 4 bites. I mean, we may have eaten we ate about a third of the tsunami fries. She had a beer, I had a Coke. And then I had like 1 taco. She had I mean, it was just that thing where we kind of, our heads are dumb. Like she orders food with me because she's like, yeah, that'll be fun. And then we don't eat any of it. And then we have to give it away or throw it out. So we had to go into the ballpark and we had all this food. And I will tell you this, it was fucking delicious. Old me, fat me would have cleaned house, maybe even ordered more food because it was so tasty and great. It's just, I'm not in a position where I can eat that kind of fucking food anymore. So we take the food and we're walking and we're right across the street from the stadium. And she's like, well, I don't want to throw this out. I said, what do you want to do? She goes, well, why don't we find somebody to give it to? Now, we had never done that before. All right. This is the first time we're trying it in San Diego. So I said, all right, because I will tell you this. I've been in San Diego a few times. San Diego has more homeless people than I've ever seen anywhere in my life. I've been to New York and Boston and Chicago. I mean, all these big cities. San Diego has the highest number of homeless people I've ever seen. And I'm sure it's because it's beautiful and it's right on the beach and it makes sense for them to go and be in the sun. But Jesus Christ, I mean, it is, you get down there and it's almost like Atlanta in the pilot episode of The Walking Dead. I mean, it is just these crazy amounts of zombies. And I talked about that on here before. And then actually South Park did a show where they had the hobos acting like fucking zombies because that's, I mean, it's just insane. I don't know if it's because it's a Navy town or just warm. Fucking, I don't know. But we decided we were going to go and hand off this food, these leftovers, to a lucky hobo who was going to dine and feast on $40 of leftover Mexican food. So we started to walk and we're looking and we're in the parking lots and there was a chili cook-off these people tried to get us to go to and all these people are trying to rope us into their tailgating nonsense. And as we're walking, we're not finding any homeless dudes at all. And it's so funny when this happened. This was in July, and the day we were going to San Diego is the day that Robin Williams unfortunately committed suicide. So we're walking trying to find a hobo, and some dude walks up and he's got a bindle like wrapped and put into a shopping cart filled with fucking cans that are smashed and plastic recycling bottles. And he's wearing like boxes on his feet instead of shoes. I mean, he's just totally out of an Upton Sinclair hobo novel. I mean, he just looks classic. And he comes walking past us and now we're going to give him the food. We're thinking maybe that guy's hungry. And he goes walking by us and I go, hey, how are you? And he goes, did you hear Robin Williams killed himself? And I'm like, even this hobo is dialed in technologically to know that fucking Robin Williams killed himself? It was fucking weird. It caught me off guard. And it caught me so off guard, I decided not to offer him the food. I didn't like it. I didn't like his approach. I didn't like him coming to me and dropping bad news in my lap. But I was like, yeah, we actually heard. That's terrible. And we just kept walking. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not giving that hobo the fucking food. He's like the town crier. So we kept walking. We couldn't find any other hobos. And we walked a good couple of blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks. Now we're away from the stadium again. We're almost getting back to where our car was. So then I look and I see the telltale signs of hobos. All right. I hear loud talking with swearing. I see dirty gloves. And I see a thin dog. That's when you know there are hobos about. So the dog is like jumping around and he's barking at us and we go walking up and there's a couple of guys with fingerless gloves on. And then there's a third dude sitting in like a director's chair. And, but I will tell you this, absolutely not a director. Clearly a hobo pretending to be a director. And I don't know if he's like the director of all the hobos. Maybe that's why he gets the chair. I didn't see if his name was on the back. I don't know this hobo's name. All I know is I finally had a way to drop off these fucking tacos so I could get into the stadium and watch the goddamn baseball game. So we go walking up, and there's 2 dudes, and like I said, the third dude in the director's chair. And Jill's with me. And look, I should tell you this. I don't like approaching anybody with Jill with me because I just figure that I'm going to have to fight everyone. I need to fix my head. I need to really, I got a lot of work to do, folks. I'm trying. I'm really trying. But it's this thing where I don't know what this says about, I guess I know what it says about me. I don't want her to go away. But I find myself wanting to protect her all the time from things. I don't want anything bad at all to happen to her, and I don't want to put her in a position where anything bad could happen to her. So if there's hobos, I almost tell her, hey, wait here, and I'm going to go over there. I don't know what they're going to do. They're not going to attack us and take her away. But inside me, I have this seething anxiety that eventually she'll be gone, and it's strange. And it manifests itself in the weirdest ways. And so I try to, and so then, it becomes a thing because I get to be like overprotective. And so then she'll tell me she said something. I'm like, why did you say that? And then she feels admonished and strange. And she's like, well, why wouldn't I say that? Because she's friendly and outgoing and she's known people her whole life and she can talk and she's not afraid. I'm afraid. I need to stop being afraid. So we meet the hobos. And we go to give them this food, and I'm tense anyway because, like I said, she's with me. And so I walk up and I go, "Hey," are you guys hungry? And the two guys standing up are kind of like, "Well, yeah." And the third guy goes, "Why?" I said, "Well, we have some food here from the Mexican restaurant we ate at, and we don't want it. We're going to go into the baseball game, so we want to have you have it." And the two dudes standing up are kind of like, "Oh, that's really nice." And the third guy puts his hand out. So he's the first guy I reached out. And I figured he was king of the hobos. Again, he's in the chair. And they're all deferring to him. They kind of like parted out of the way. So I had to, it was almost like he was seeing me. Like he said, send him in. Like he was in his hobo office. And I was waiting out into the hobo foyer. And then he went, send him in. And then I came in and he was granting me a fucking hobo audience. It was literally that strange. And so I walked up and he was the one sitting there. He never got up. The two guys parted. I walked up and he's like, so I handed it to him and he opens the bag. Now he doesn't say thank you. And he opens the bag and he goes, what's in here? And, look, I could have gone into an elegant description of tsunami fries like I did for you folks earlier in the conversation. So I was thrown. I didn't know what to. I just went, well, it's Mexican food from Lolita's Grill. It's good. But what I really wanted to say was, what's in there? Fucking vitamins. That's what's in there, hobo. Are you fucking joking as you sit here in your director's chair and barely cling to life? You're going to question the fact that I would hand you fucking food? Who the fuck do you think you are? Hey, you know what? What's in the bag? You know what's in there? Another day on this fucking planet. That's what's in the bag. You don't get to sit there and judge me for giving you free stuff. If you don't want it, say it. Say it. These two guys will fucking take it, or I'll find a fucking thin dog. Oh, look, there's one yapping at me. I'll give him the fucking Mexican food. But really, you have the idea that you can give me the askance look and go, what's in here? Why? What do you mean, what? Why? I don't need fucking 50 questions. I need one answer. Yes, thank you. And then watch you shove your hobo mouth full of my fucking leftovers. I'm a good guy, damn it. Can't you tell by what I'm saying? But I couldn't believe it. He's just like, why? What's in here? What is it? And so I explained to him, like, well, it's tacos and enchiladas. I don't know. It's Mexican food. And he's like, oh, well, what's wrong with it? What do you mean what's wrong with it? I don't want it. Eat it. But do you think, honestly, look at me. I'm an accomplished human being. If I was going to go kill anybody, do you think I would waste my time on a hobo? Absolutely not. Terrible. I would start at the fucking top. I'm not a hobo killer. I'm not going to fucking get my hands dirty on you. Clearly, I am of a level where I would be assassinating some sort of senator or something, right? I'm not going to go and kill a hobo. And certainly not with stealth Mexican food, you fucking idiot. I got news for you. If I wanted to kill you, you know what I would do? I would take your director's chair and watch you cry yourself to death. But this started our saga because then Jill and I went to New York, and every night we would order too much food, and every night we would go and find a hobo to give them food, and they would all have these questions. Like I just, you know what? the question mark should no longer be in the hobo's vocabulary. Everything they have should be a declarative statement. Thank you. Yes, of course. The only thing hobos get to question is why the fuck they're still a hobo. That's the only thing, and they got to do it in private. They have to sit against a wall wrapped in a blanket in the shivering cold and go, why am I a hobo? What the hell's wrong with me? Well, I got news for you. Maybe you're a hobo because of your mistrusting attitude. Maybe if you trusted a little more often, maybe you'd have a job and a house, and you wouldn't be sleeping in a fucking subway car. And look, I recognize a lot of these people are victims in their past life, and maybe that's why they wound up sleeping on the street. But you know what? Fuck that. Sometimes you just got to stop being a victim and you have to accept somebody's secondhand lo mein. That's what you have to do. You have to paste a grin on your face, realize you sleep in the gutter, and go ahead and say, yes, I would love your half-eaten salad. That's what you need to do. Because that's where you're at. That's where it starts. You start with the niceties there, and pretty soon you're building up to where you're saying, yes, Mr. President, I would love that promotion. See? It starts out with, yes, I would love to eat your half-eaten salad. Thank you for not looking down on my hobo-ness. And eventually with that attitude, it'll be, why, yes, Mr. Prime Minister, I'd love to marry your daughter. See, that's where it goes. Think positive, hobos. So there was a woman in New York we had to give food to. We tried to. We walked up, and again, it was that stupid thing where we bought a trolley car full of pasta for no reason. I mean, actually, we bought the trunk of a car full of pasta. That's what it was. We were in Little Italy, and a couple of dudes were like, hey, forget about it. And they were going to make us disappear. Of course, they're going to drive us out and put cement shoes on us because we are obviously enemies of the state, the Italian state. I don't know what that would be. Actually, it's New Jersey. I do know exactly what the Italian state is. So they opened the trunk of the car and they were going to throw us in there and then get rid of our bodies. And it was full of pasta and we bought it and we ate it. And I'm sorry, I apologize. We ate 2 bites and then we put the rest in a fucking crate for a hobo. So we're walking on Fifth Avenue and we're looking for hobos and they're there. And as we're walking, there we see a woman. And I will tell you this, it's this challenge where we kept walking around and we were just trying to find a hobo to give the food to. That's all we wanted to do. But we were gun shy from getting turned down by these fancy pants hobos who apparently have decided that they'd rather eat air or bugs or their horrible DTs. I don't know what they're putting in their bellies, but it's certainly not my leftovers, without a question. It's not a fucking job interview. I'm not a chef. I'm not your personal fucking chef. But they have the questions. And so we walk up to this woman and she's, look, I will say this about this woman. She looked like, how do I put this? Well, a hobo. I guess that'll pretty much describe it for you. We said to her, are you hungry? Would you like something to eat? And we went to hand her this bag. And she said, is it soft? And we said, what? And she was like, yeah, because, my teeth, I can't really eat anything that's hard. And again, I like people, and I'm a fan of the hobo, and I respect that things have gone terribly awry if you are sleeping on cement. But even if you don't want to eat the hard pasta that I'm proffering, maybe you can trade it for some soft food from another hobo elsewhere in your hobo world. I don't know how it works. Just take this. It's good food. You can use it to barter for other food elsewhere if that's what you want to do. But don't look, honestly, I don't know how these hobos hope to improve their lot in life if they're just going to stand around and stare into gift horses' mouths all day. I felt like the Duke brothers in Trading Places. Whiskey, all you want. Like, it was just so bad. Look, it's pasta. I don't know if it's hard or soft, and I can't speak to you, and I'm not a fucking dentist, and oh my God. And again, I should say this. To give her the benefit of the doubt, she did look like she'd been curb stomped at some point in her life. Because she had a mouthful. I don't even, you know what? I don't know if it was teeth so much as it was a fence that the Duke boys had driven through at some point, because it was, everything had a different direction. Everything was going a different way. It looked like, you know what it looked like? Maybe, and maybe this is why she was gun shy. It looked like she probably had a perfectly normal mouth, but then at some point along Hobo Row, Wile E. Coyote showed up and he was passing out cigars. So maybe that's what happened. And it blew out the front of her face like the World Trade Center in 1993. I mean, honestly, it was just bad. So I guess that's why she has a question about whether it was soft or hard food. But still, the point is, take it and trade it for something soft later. And I almost wanted to look at her finally and just go, no, you know what? It's a bag full of fucking Jolly Ranchers and apples. Good for you. You lose. I'm just trying to give food away to the hungry. I'm not Gene Wilder at the end of fucking Willy Wonka, for fuck's sake, all right? You stole fizzy lifting drinks, so you get nothing. Look, I'm a good person, folks. I have a good heart. I'm trying to give these people nourishment to keep them alive. And you know what's really funny is look, you think I'm mad and I'm look, we're having some fun here, of course. I mean, I'm trying to help people. That's what I'm trying to do. In the overall arching scheme of things, I'm trying to help people. But every time it would happen, we would then take like 5 steps away from the person, and then Jill would just look at me and just go, doesn't anybody like want help at all in this fucking town? And I'm like, no, I don't get it. We were so shocked because, and finally, like there was one person who they were wrapped up in a sleeping bag within another sleeping bag within a mystery inside of a riddle inside of an enigma, and they were laying next to this fucking parking garage, and we went to them and they were sleeping, and we walked up and we put food next to their head. We dispensed with the asking at that point. Now we're just leaving food. Now we're just like the fucking elves in the shoemaker or whatever the fuck, when he would leave the shoes out and those dudes would sneak in and fix the shoes. We were like that. We were like the hobo elves, and we would just come in and we would leave a special prize, and then they'd wake up in the morning and they'd be like, wow, what's this, Scungili? Oh my God. Thank you, Santa. But we actually just finally decided to stop asking. There was a person wrapped up. And we just put the food, we laid it like right next to their head gently, and we took a couple of steps, and that person was like, thank you. Like they were really nice, and they kind of squeaked out a thank you with as little air as they possibly had in their lungs from being wrapped up trying to stay warm in the fucking elements. And I was like, you know what? That's what it's all about. You should teach at hobo school. Nothing wrong with a gracious thank you. That's what we spent our time doing in New York, just giving away food to the homeless and then wondering why they wouldn't fucking take it. What is wrong with these people? We went to Chinatown, which was so fun. We went to, and like I said, Little Italy, which is not as fun. We went to St. Patrick's Cathedral, and they're doing renovations on it, which is that's strange. It just seems, because again, these things are landmarks and they've been there forever and they're famous. You wouldn't think that when you walk in, there's going to be scaffolds and tarp. I mean, it's especially in a cathedral. Like, I mean, if it's a skyscraper, I guess I could see them doing that. But when you walk into a cathedral and there's nothing but, like I said, there's tarp and paint and scaffolds and hammering. And I'll be honest with you, when you walk into St. Patrick's Cathedral and there's a giant statue of Jesus and then there's a bunch of stained glass windows, it's very disconcerting to hear people pounding nails. I've got to be honest with you. That is... I actually think I saw the statue of Jesus kind of frown and just be like, this again? I took photos, and I think I put that up on Facebook with that joke, and I'm typing it, and Jill just looks at me and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I made a joke," and she's like, "What?" And then I told her, and she's like, "Oh my, what are you doing? Why?" Sometimes I wonder what she thinks. Like she knows who I am, right? So when I make a joke about Jesus getting nails driven into him, she looks at me just with that face, and I'm just like, well, you knew I was a scorpion, right? Didn't you know I was a scorpion? We walked all over. We looked at, and it was amazing. It was an amazing time in New York. Like I said, I told you we went to the 9/11 Museum, and then we went to Chinatown. And we just wanted to be New Yorkers. We went to Times Square. I will tell you this. We went to Times Square a couple of times, and we went to the 30 Rock, and we wanted to go to the top of the Rock and take a look at New York. But dude, it was like fucking $30 to go to the top of the Rock just for a view. And Jill and I walked, and Jill, she kills me because she's just like, she would not think twice about spending money for something that she really wanted. But then when she sees the price on something like that, she just goes, "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever fucking heard." She goes, $30 to go look at something? That's stupid. We're not going. And I'm like, all right, we're not going. But we just wanted to be New Yorkers. We just wanted to travel by subway. And that's what we did, man. We hopped on the subway. We went places. We got off the subway and just walked. We walked through the Bronx, and we saw a restaurant we wanted, and we just sat down and we ate, and we took photos, and we just, dude, we had the best time. in New York. I will tell you this too. The first day we went, we were there after the 9/11 museum. We were going to get on a subway, and we went downstairs into the subway station, and we saw a rat. And he was huge. I mean, he was really big, and he was running down by the tracks. And Jill was just like, oh my God, there's a rat. And I was like, yeah, all right, now we're in New York, goddammit, there's a goddamn rat. And she's like, but that's awful. And so then the best part of it was that it happened the first day. And we took the subway for like 5 days. So every time we'd go down to the subway, we were just on rat patrol the entire fucking time, staring, waiting, looking, trying to see if one of them would come out and leap at us. We were excited. I was excited. I don't know if Jill was, but I was. And then you ride on the subway and there's people like kind of banging into you and you got to stand up. And I love it. I love New York and I love the city and I love the whole vibe of it. And I love the fact that we just kind of got lost there. It was so perfect. We wanted to be New Yorkers. We wanted to ride the subway. We wanted to go wherever we wanted and do what we wanted to do and walk. Dude, we walked. One day I think we walked like 11 miles, because she had her pedometer on the phone. We just walked up and down. We took the subway and we'd just go to the limits. We'd go to the limits of the city and go, you know what, let's head back. Let's go here. Let's do this. We walked up and down Fifth Avenue. We were in the Village. We were just all over the place. It was great. Siegel told us about a bar that was, I think I mentioned this on the other show, that was up on, it was like on the 40th floor or something. So we actually kind of went up there. There was this private event. And we were like, hey, we just want to go up and check it out. And they're like, go ahead, but there's a private event. So we walked in and I just crashed. I walked in. I didn't care. I walked right through the private event. I walked over to the windows and then sir. And Jill's like, Mike. And I turn around and she's like, Jill points at the maitre d' and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just wanted to take a look at what's going on. And he's like, yeah, this is a private event. You can go in the other room. And so I almost got thrown out of there, but that was fine. Yeah, almost. But then we walked, we looked and we didn't, there wasn't anything we did that just kind of, except for David Letterman. We went to the David Letterman show. And, we were excited for that. That was the centerpiece of the entire trip. We didn't have any other plans other than Letterman. And so that show was on a Thursday, and they told us to get there and line up early. And that was the day we went to Chinatown. We were in Chinatown during the day, and then we hustled home and we changed and we got ready, and we were so close to the Ed Sullivan Theater from the Waldorf Astoria. We could have walked, but we wound up taking a subway train. It was like a stop. I think it was one stop, maybe two stops, and then we walk up, and you'd actually see the marquee for the Ed Sullivan Theater. It was so great. We walk over to get in line, and we were probably, I think we were like 12th in line. And then the pages came out and they gave us this long, the speech, and they're all trying to, and it's so funny. I've been to TV shows before and they're trying to keep that artificial happiness flowing where they walk out and they're like, yeah, this is awesome. It's so great. It's David Letterman's last year. Whoa, let's start clapping. Who's happy to be here? Where are you from? And they're asking you questions in line. And again, it was a lot of artificial happiness, but I'll tell you what, Jill and I didn't fucking need it because we were so happy just to be there and to be together there and to walk up and see the marquee, and then to take photos. We took photos and we were taking selfie photos, because I'm trying to go arm's length, and then people would walk up and they're like, well, if you'll take a photo of us, we'll take a photo of you. And then it worked out great. So we get the sign behind us and we went in, they briefed us on what was going to happen. And they said, you'll get to come back here in an hour to line up and go in and do the show. But right now you can go around the corner. There's a bar that's affiliated with us. And, you can go and have a beer there and then come over here. And so we were making plans for after the show because the taping of the show was at 5:30. And then after that, I don't know if you're aware of my friend Jill. My lovely girlfriend she's a Green Bay Packers fan. So that night, it turned out that the Packers are playing Thursday night football. So she's like, well, we've got to find a place to watch the Packers after the show. I said, well, I'm sure there's a place in Times Square we can go to. We'll figure it out. There's going to be a bar or something. So I figured I would Google it and find a Packers bar. We'd just find a sports place to go to. So we left the Letterman studio and we went around the corner to this bar and we walked in. And I don't remember the name of it. But we sat down. And as we're sitting down, she's got her back to the entrance. But I look, and on the wall next to the door, there's a Brett Favre jersey, Packers jersey. I'm like, what? Why? What? Why is that there? And then I look, and then there's Packers helmets. And I asked the bartender, and I go, is this a Packers bar? He goes, oh, yeah, big game tonight. And he was Irish. I can't even bother to try to do the accent. But, I mean, So I walked over to Jill and I go, you're not going to believe this. This is a fucking Packers bar. And she was like, see, we belong together and we belong here. And I'm like, yeah, all right, yes, I guess. Because she keeps telling me she's going to get me a Packer jersey. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. But man, I will tell you this, though. I'm just vain enough to wear it because I look really good in green. So I want to see how it pops my eyes. I'll be honest with you. I want to do that. But I don't know if I can wear it for Packer purposes. But I can wear it for green purposes. So we get a beer, we hang out. And then it comes time to go back to the show. We go over, we get in line. And they had given us numbers and parceled us off. And then they let us in. And we started to worry that there were people ahead of us. But it didn't matter because, we had gotten there early enough to where the people that were ahead of us, they were all going to get sent off to a different section. And we stood in this room, and again, they tried with the artificial happiness. They had pages cheerleading and trying to get us to do things. And, they said there would be merchandise after the show if we wanted to buy it. And it was just, honestly, I just remember standing there with Jill being excited and waiting to go in. I was in the same building as fucking David Letterman. That's all I cared about. So when they let us in, we walked through, and as always, when you go to a TV show, it is so much smaller inside than it looks on television, especially when they do that sweeping pan of the crowd and you see the balcony and the people down there. Well, I don't know. This place probably only holds like 400. That would be my guess. 400, maybe 450. And I've played in comedy clubs bigger than that, for fuck's sake. We walked in and we walked down the aisle and they started sending people down rows. And as soon as the row would fill up, they'd start a second row. And I was looking at the count and I was kind of going, I was like, no, I don't want to, I want to make sure I sit here. We wanted to sit in the middle. We wanted to do this. And you know what? The luck of the draw was not with us because as we got down there, the last people sat in a row and we had to go all the way down to the end of another row. We were in the farthest section we were stage right, our left. We were by the band. If you watch the Letterman show, we were on the band's section in those seats. And we were in the third row, but we were all the way at the far end, to the far left of, so we were behind the band, essentially. But, we had a perfect shot of Letterman. Of the desk. So you don't know what's going to happen with the television show because they're going to bring out cameras. They're going to bring out cue card people. They're going to be people in your way. So there's monitors everywhere to make sure that you can see everything. But at the same time, we wanted to have good seats and I wanted Jill to have good seats. And so we sat down and Jill was kind of like, oh man, we're so far away from everything. And I go, she's like, we can't even see the band. And I go, well, no, we could see the band in front of us, but we couldn't see Paul Schaefer really well. But we had a perfect view of Dave's desk. So, and again, I was there to see Dave. Paul's great. Hey, good for Paul. But, and look, knowing all about Paul is what got me in the building in the first fucking place. But I wanted to be there to see Letterman. And so Jill, when she sat down, finally was like, okay, good. I'm happy. She was happy. And, they started to fill the building up. And it was, by the way, it was freezing. I think they said they keep it at 66 degrees in the studio. Which is, to me, that's perfect. Because, Dave, I've performed and I would keep it as cold as fucking possible because I don't want to sweat either. So maybe Dave's a sweater. That's what I think. Dave's a sweater. So we're sitting there waiting and Alan Coulter comes out. He's the house announcer. And I was as surprised as Jill because she said to me later, I didn't realize that he was this guy. But, because Alan Coulter's he's the announcer on the show and he participates in some comedy bits. But when you go to the show, Alan Coulter's the warm-up guy. So he takes the microphone and he comes out and he starts basically asking trivia questions and telling you what to think and what to do about Dave. And he's got a whole shtick and he's got a whole pattern, a whole script, and he's got jokes built in. And then they would throw it to the monitors and they would show us comedy pieces of how to behave in the audience. And they were written by the writers themselves. And so it was really funny. And there was this vibe and they wanted everybody to be excited. And Alan Coulter kept saying, he's like, this is Dave's last year and we're doing the best we can for him. And he was trying to make it sound like Dave never really wanted to do a show. And we had to pretend that we wanted to make him do the show and he would leave otherwise. He was a whole set thing. It was really cool. So the one thing he did get across, he said, listen to me. He goes, Dave gives back what you give to him. So, and it's funny, there's a contrast. When I saw the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, the night Pardo did it, the warm-up guy was so busy like shooting a t-shirt cannon and doing fucking cartwheels and throwing stuff into the air and juggling and yelling and he never really, I didn't think, focus the audience on what was about to happen. He was just mainly keeping the energy up. And then Leno himself came out and he talked to people and took a few questions and stuff. But it was really weird. It kind of took the specialness out of it for me, which seems weird. Because I mean, I love Jay Leno, and at the time, he things went south at the Tonight Show and whatever the fuck. But I mean, he was one of my heroes growing up. But to see him come out and he's just wearing his denim shirt and he's taking questions, and you're kind of like, oh man, you're the host of the Tonight Show. Shouldn't there be something? I mean, it should be kind of special, right, that you're here. But when he walked out, it seemed almost anticlimactic, and then he took questions and he talked, and he was like a normal dude, and you're almost like, I don't want you to be a normal dude. Fuck, you're the star. I can't be sitting here waiting to see a normal dude. That doesn't make any sense. So when Alan Coulter was out there and he's talking, he's like, Dave gives you back what you give him. So here's what I want you guys to do tonight. He goes, we've been trying to do it all the time, and earlier we had another show tonight that taped, because it was we went and saw it on Thursday night, and they taped 2 shows on Thursday because he doesn't work Fridays. And he said, here's the thing. He goes, when Dave comes out here, don't let him talk. Just go crazy. He goes, and I know that sounds weird. He goes, but if you keep doing it, Dave is going to take energy from that, and it will lead to a better show. He goes, it sounds ridiculous, I know, to say that the one thing you don't want to do is have the star talk to you. He goes, but if you just go crazy for him, he will acknowledge it, and you will see it. You will notice it in his mannerisms. You'll see the way he acts and the way he talks. He goes, it's what you should do. You should go crazy for him, because we all want to go crazy for Dave, right? And then of course everybody goes nuts. And he goes, good. He goes, that, but times 1,000 for Dave when he comes out here. Don't let him talk. And then he kept beating that point into our heads. Don't let him talk. And so then they bring the band out, and the band starts to play some songs, and then Alan Coulter's still doing more talking, and there's a lot of stage stuff going on, and Jill and I are fucking freezing. She's got goosebumps all over herself. But I don't know if they were just from being cold or from the fact that she was about to see fucking David Letterman in person, because that's why I had them. So we're there and we're waiting, and Alan Coulter, and there's activity and the stuff on the monitors. And then Alan Coulter goes, hey, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David Letterman. And then Letterman runs, like literally sprints out onto the stage. Like it was the weirdest thing, because he didn't walk out and wave or pretend to be a star. He's not wearing his coat. He's wearing like a suit, but without the coat. And he sprints around this fucking stage, and he runs, and he comes up to the microphone, and he grabs it, and he keeps hitting the microphone and people are cheering, and he's yelling, and they're yelling, I should say. He's not yelling, and he just keeps going, and he's talking into the microphone, because this is before the show. He comes out to talk to us. And the difference was, like I said, when they brought out Jay Leno, everybody kind of clapped, and there was this fake standing O, and then he took questions. Well, when Letterman came out, he sprinted out, and the place was so excited. They blew up to fucking see him, because we've been dealing with Coulter and the band, and finally he shows up. And that's the difference, I think, between Leno and Letterman. Leno basically stole the Tonight Show from Letterman and replaced Johnny Carson in doing so, but he never was anointed special. He was never a star. He was the guy who hosted the Tonight Show. He was the host. And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to portray himself as an everyman. He wanted to be a meat and potatoes guy. That's it. It's what I do. It's just I tell jokes. It's my job. Well, we don't want to know that's your fucking job. Nobody wants to know that you're a fucking lunch bucket. Be a goddamn star. That's who you are. David Letterman's a star. He's a fucking misfit. He went the other way. By not being accessible, he became a star because he's mysterious. We want to know more about him. And he's been in our lives forever. So when he ran out, the place went fucking insane, because we were there to see him, and it was special. It was special to see him. And he made it so because he's fucking David Letterman. So he ran out. He's got the microphone. And he just starts talking. He's like, thank you so much for being here. I know there's so many other things in New York you could be doing, and you could be giving hobos your leftovers. You could be doing that if you wanted to. And I was like, oh my God, Dave and I are kindred spirits. But then he talked, and then he took questions from the audience. And I was going to ask him something, and then I'm like, I can't, there's nothing really, because what do you ask David Letterman? Because part of me wanted to get up and I wanted to thank him, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, that's going to be corny and weird, and it's going to draw the whole proceedings to a halt. But then I was trying to think of a question. I'm like, well, maybe I could get one out. And so the first question he took from somebody was, what was he going to do with his retirement? What was the first thing he was going to do? And he was fucking hilarious. And then the next question he took was from this woman who decided it was her show. and she tried to be funny, and she kept talking, and she kept saying things. She wouldn't let Letterman really answer, and she kept trying to be, and the best part was he just kept burying her. Like, she would try to be funny. She'd be funny for like almost 2 minutes. And then he'd go, well, I didn't know we were serving liquor tonight. Like, literally, it was like that. He would just destroy her with comedy club chops. And it was the fucking best. Cause then she'd be like, yeah, you know, I'm from Calgary, Alberta. And we got these big ass, and then she's da 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 da. And there'd be a beat. And he'd say, well, did anything interesting ever happen to you that you're going to talk about? Like, I mean, he would just savage her. It was so great. And so then he finally goes, you know, thank you for coming. And there's going to be a show, and I'm excited. And he runs away. And we're sitting there, but I could have left at that point just to see him come out and take questions and be fucking hysterical. And then it's that thing where you don't even know that it's going to start, but all of a sudden everybody's in place and Letterman disappears, and then Alan Coulter sits down and they start the fucking song, and Alan Coulter's like live from New York, and then he introduces Letterman, and Letterman sprints again, but he doesn't sprint out onto the stage this time. He runs through that little transom area in the back and then disappears. He runs from from left to right, and then he runs from right to left, and then he runs from left to right again, and then he turns the corner and he walks out. And when he walks out, the place explodes. And he comes right up and he hits his mark and he waves, and we keep cheering. And he nods. He's like, oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you. And we keep cheering. Because all of us have it burned into our head. Don't let Dave talk. And I think everybody in the building realizes that this is your one and only chance to let David Letterman know everything he's ever meant to you. So he stands there and he's just basking in it, and people are going crazy and they're going crazy. And just when it seems like it's going to stop and he kind of waves his hand, the band does that vroom thing, and he kind of gives him the elbow. The cheers get louder and louder and louder. And I mean, I've watched the show before and since, and you know, you see people kind of cheer and he kind of feeds off of it, you know, but dudes, when we were there, I mean, I think we must have cheered for, it seemed like 5 minutes. I mean, we wouldn't let him talk. And I'll tell you this, you know, I've seen the show before and since. I've watched the show recently. And before I went, we were watching it in the hotel room in New York even. And we watched a couple of shows, and Dave looked a little out of it almost. You know what I mean? Like he looked a little going through the motions-ish. And he looked a little bloated kind of in his face, it seemed like, on TV. And I was just like, oh man, you know, this is a drag. It's not the Dave that I know. But when we went crazy for him, and first of all, when he had sprinted out without a coat on, he's totally rail thin. I mean, he's not bloated in the least. He looks like he did in fucking 1981. He's that thin. And then when we kept cheering and kept cheering and kept cheering, you could almost see any cynicism in him melt away and see him decide, you know what, fuck it, I'm doing a great show. These people are great. I'm doing a great show. And I'll tell you what, our guest list was fucking terrible. We had the chick from SVU and a comic from England and a fucking singer making her national television debut, and none of it mattered. None of it mattered because we just wanted to see fucking Letterman, and we went crazy for him, and he fed off of it, and he killed it that night. Like I said, I'd been watching and I'd been seeing him kind of like throwing the towel on bits or not really do anything. And I will tell you this, he was doing a bit that week that he did not do the night we saw him, and I wanted him to do it so badly. I don't know. Again, it's one of those stupid ideas that's only funny to Letterman, but he kept doing it. And even the crowd wasn't laughing. Like, we were watching it in the hotel room, and Jill was even like, I don't even know what this bit is. And I was like, I think it's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. He would pick up the phone on his desk, and there was a play-by-play announcer who sounded like Bob Uecker, and he was doing play-by-play of a Tampa Bay Rays game. And it was the dumbest, for no reason. Every time he would pick up the phone, the guy would be like, 3-2 the count here. And I'll tell you what, this is a guy who went to Harvard. You don't get a lot of baseball players. It was just straight, goofy factoid radio baseball play-by-play. And every time he would pick up the phone, the guy was doing it. And then he would listen to it for almost like 90 seconds for no reason. And then he'd just hang up the phone. And the crowd did not know what to make of it. They weren't laughing, but he kept doing it. He kept picking up the phone. And I was like, oh my God, please do that the night I see you. But he didn't. Instead, what he did the night we saw him was fucking destroy. The monologue was tight. It was really funny. Even the top 10 was funny because normally they kind of mail those in a little bit. And he was funny. He was funny in the interstitials. He was funny going back and forth between guests. He was funny with Paul. He was extremely funny. He was David Letterman. He was exactly what I wanted him to be. And whether the guests were terrible or not, he was charming and funny and interesting. And he was again, I would have fucking sat there and just had my dinner with Dave and just watched him fucking talk and work. Because I will tell you this too. I was fascinated to see him with the lights out. When Leno would do the show, look, I've worked on shows, and certainly not shows of that magnitude. But when we would do Funny Money, Jimmy Pardo was the host, and when we would go to commercial, he would, we weren't live, obviously, we were live to tape, but when he would throw it to commercial, they would cut, and then I would go right on stage, and I would go to Jimmy, and I'd go, all right, and we'd bounce jokes back and forth. And he'd be like, what do you think of that? And I'd go, I think that's funny. How about this? And we'd talk and we'd joke and we'd punch stuff up on the fly. And Jimmy would come up with ideas in the moment and he would do them. And I would say, I fucking love it. Do it. Or I would give him an idea and he would go, that's great. It was really a cool relationship. I really had a lot of fun doing it because on Funny Money, it was almost like I became, it's funny, when we did Starface, I became that guy for Danny Bonaducci. Like, the guys who produced the show thought I was funny, so they just basically made me Bonaducci's babysitter. They'd go run jokes with him. So I'd run the script with him, and he'd hit inflections that I go, nah, you got to do it this way. It was almost like I said, like Eliza Doolittle. Like I'd be like, no, you got to do it this way, or punch this, or make this funny, or whatever. They trusted me to do it, and Danny was cool with it. He didn't care because Danny's just like a fucking pro, and if you told him how to say things a certain way, he'd do it. Whereas Jimmy would have a ton of ideas. So you'd walk up to Jimmy, and he'd go, well, what about this? And I go, well, what about this? And he'd go, I like that. Well, what about this? And we'd bang it out while they were changing a camera angle or they were putting things out and we were moving to a different act. He would always, and the script was a living thing and Jimmy was always in the moment and it was really fun to do. So I wanted to see Letterman in that atmosphere. So whenever the lights would go out, they'd go to commercial, that show is live. So it's, you're only there for an hour. They tape it in an hour. Funny Money could take an hour and 40 minutes to tape a half-hour episode, but this was done like clockwork, bang, bang. They'd go to commercial, and the band would play the entire time while they were at commercial, and you'd see Dave. And I was always told that Dave was kind of quiet, or Dave was more of a misfit, or Dave would just sit at the desk. There's a famous story where Dave is at the desk, and in between commercial, they go to commercial, and he's just sitting there in the dark, and he's like writing. And someone who's on the panel says that then they look when they come back and Dave had been writing, I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself over and over while they were at commercial. So I was told that, I like I said, I always heard these stories. So I really wanted to kind of see him in the context of when the show had been off the air. And when they went to commercial, it couldn't have been more different. Now, again, that story of the I hate myself is from fucking 25 years ago. So obviously he's changed. He's grown. He has children. He's become a different man. He's grown comfortable in the job. As a matter of fact, he's leaving the fucking job. He's done all he could possibly do in that position. And he's become the elder statesman of talk show hosts. And he's a fucking genius. He's reinvented how to do it. So I was surprised, but not that surprised to see it was different. But I was really surprised to see he was so active. When they would go to commercial and the lights would go out, the head writer is a guy named Bill Sheft, and he would come over to Dave like I would go over to Jimmy, and then Letterman would stand up and he would immediately start talking to Sheft, and Sheft would start writing notes and they'd go back and forth. And what they were doing is they were creating bits on the fly. And there was one time where Letterman stands up and he's mimicking, he turns around and he's showing like Chef what he wants. He's like, stand like this. He's kind of doing a position and a pose. And he can't figure out what it is because, again, it's quiet. We have the band rampaging. We can't hear what Dave and Bill Sheft are saying. And they bring a couple of PAs over and Chef sends them over and they tell a guy to go do this. And Letterman is very active and his hands are moving and he's talking and he's standing up and Sheft is just kind of nodding and they're going back and forth. And then, Dave sits down and they come back from camera and, or from commercial, I should say, on camera. And there had been a joke in the top 10. And it was something about toilets in a ballpark or something. I honestly, I don't remember. The whole thing's kind of a blur, to be honest. But I do remember seeing Dave do these things. And so Dave, he starts talking and he goes, hey, well, wait, let's throw it to the back. And what they do is they throw it to the back and they go, and there's one of those handheld cameras and it goes into a dressing room. And there's Biff Henderson. And he's in the pose that Dave was showing Bill Sheft. So they wrote this bit on the fly, sent people in the back to tell Biff what to do and where to stand. And then when they came back from commercial, they immediately threw it to the camera and that went in the back and they filmed Biff standing there doing the bit. And I loved it. I just, to me, that's fascinating. You know, to see the machinations and the behind the scenes, and to see that Letterman was so involved. Every time they go to commercial, he'd call Scheft over and they'd talk and they'd biffer back and forth. And then they'd come back and he'd have a different joke or he'd have a different thing to say. And I was wondering if he was bouncing absolutely everything off of Scheft, or, you know, I just want to know what the relationship is. Did he just tell Scheft what he's going to do and Sheft's like, yeah, okay? Or does he trust Scheft enough to where he drops stuff on him and Scheft goes, no, maybe you do it like this? Because every time they came back, Dave was fucking locked and loaded and ready to be funny. It was just gorgeous to watch. And so they run through the show, and like I said, it's a blur. The guests are the guests, and it didn't matter because Letterman was Letterman. And I'm just sitting there again. Like I said, you know, I told you when we won the tickets how much I wanted to experience it, and it lived up to everything that I possibly could have wanted, because I'm sitting there with the woman I love, watching the man I've loved forever, and watching him be as great as he was the first time I ever watched him. It was like watching a fighter come out and completely change your perception of him. He was old, he was beaten up, or he was over the hill, and he came out and he was energized. And I like to think we had something to do with it because everybody went crazy. I actually stood up because I knew I wouldn't be on camera, so I fuck that. I'm giving him a standing ovation. I don't care if they tackle me or whatever the fuck they do, but I stood up. And then he was just, it was amazing. He was really great. He was great throughout the entire show. And I got to sit there and I got to watch it. And I would steal a glance over at Jill, because Jill, you know, she's loved him forever too. That's the greatest part of this. I didn't drag her there. You know, she wanted to be there. It was so fantastic. And we were holding hands and I'd look at her and, you know, we're both freezing. Our teeth are chattering and she's wearing a dress and she's just got alligator skin from her ankle to her fucking ears because she's like fucking goosebumps. And we loved every second of it. It didn't matter. And I will tell you this, when we sat down, bless you, when we went to sit down, we wanted to sit in the center section, but they sent us, like I said, stage left all the way to the end. Well, when the show started and Letterman took his place behind the desk, we had a perfect shot of Letterman and the guest. We were looking right at him. But if you were in the center, you had the camera, you had the cue card person, and you had two other tech people alongside them, all four of them like a wall in front of you. So you don't get a full-on direct shot of Letterman at all. If you're in the center section, you got to watch the show on the monitor. So it turned out, in retrospect, our seats were fucking perfect. We didn't get to see Paul, but, well, you know, I know what Paul looks like, so I'm fine with it. He's playing a keyboard. I got it. I heard the piano. That's all I needed to do. So the show ended. You know, the woman sang and Letterman came out and said goodbye to her, and then they ended and they go to commercial, you know, where they go to black, and then Letterman just walks up and he takes the microphone and he's like, enjoy your stay in New York. Nobody get murdered. Thank you so much. Take care. And he just turns around and he runs away to the back with his fucking jacket off. Like a comedy fucking superhero. He was taking his jacket off to go ahead and put his cape on and fly to fucking Utah, wherever the fuck he has his house. It was so great. It was so great. I watched my comedy fucking hero with the woman I love sitting next to me, and it was just amazing. It was the greatest night. I can't, nothing could top it. Literally nothing could top it. I just don't know going forward. I don't know. Literally the only thing I could see topping it is if Letterman said, good night, have fun in New York, don't get murdered, took off his jacket, had the yellow Game of Death tracksuit on, and fought 100 chimpanzees. That's the only thing. Because Dave is a comedy ninja. You guys can get me at mikeandmikeschmidtcomedy.com. You guys can be my friend at facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/the40year-old-boy. Sorry, my headphones are freaking out. Hold on. It's like, you can still hear me, but I can't hear me, which makes me think I can't be heard. Hold on. There's a short. I don't like it. There's a short. Why is that happening? Why am I leaving this in? We should cut this out, right?
No,
Shouldn't we?
I think this is fabulous. Because I'll get 100 emails from people telling me how to fix it.
Oh, Christ. Well, 101 maybe. Maybe I'll send you one. So you can find me at all those places I just talked about. If you could hear me. I couldn't hear me, but hopefully you could hear me.
They can hear you.
All right. So our friend David Hernandez does all of the music and all of the artwork and all of the other cool stuff for the show. I should tell you, you know what? I got to talk about this now that I talk about this. Because I was going to wait to the end of the show, but what if these people go, this show's awful, and they turn it off, and then nobody hears the end of the show? I got to talk about this now, although I guess technically this is the end of the show. I should have led with this. I should have talked about it earlier. Or maybe I'll just, no, I can talk about this later, right? So I'll talk about this after the, at the end, the actual end of the show. You know what? Our friend David Hernandez, he deserves more respect than this, me talking over his introduction. He does all the music, all the artwork, all the amazing stuff that's affiliated with the show. That's not just me yammering into a microphone. You can be his friend at facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez. But if you'd like to get him to do some artwork for you, and it is the holiday season, and a lot of people want Christmas card paintings or things like that, or perhaps paintings for a loved one, you would want to go ahead and get him at artbydmh.com, artbydmh.com. He is the guy to commission to do all of your holiday artwork. Anything you would need to do, he can do. Go to his website, check out all of the things that he's done. You can go to my website and go to the Boy with the Horns page and see paintings he's done in the past. He is just a tremendously talented, amazingly good friend and a Renaissance man, and you should get him involved in doing anything that you would want because I vouch for him. That's right, I vouch for him. Like Shep Proudfoot in Fargo. Our friend Lily Von Stupp is here. She has several different Twitter accounts. You can follow her at twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp, twitter.com/MNTs, and twitter.com/HollywoodBQFest. You can be her friend at facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp. But if you'd like to write her a personal note and find out when she will be coming to your town to do burlesque, because apparently she's the most popular burlesque MC in the history of the United States and just keeps booking gigs all over the world. If you want to find out her schedule, go ahead and get her at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com. Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Tease every Monday night at the 3 Clubs on Vine at Santa Monica. It's an amazing show. I think it's actually the most successful burlesque show in the history of Los Angeles. I think there are some burlesque dancers, if you ask them about it, they may have a different answer, but they would be lying and incorrect and trying to get you to go to their shows. Pfft, I think not. I think you should save your money and spend all of your hard-earned cash on burlesque shows like the Monday Night Tease. Actually, only the Monday Night Tease, not like the Monday Night Tease. There are no other shows like the Monday Night Tease, only the Monday Night Tease. And I'll tell you what, I don't say this because I happen to know the producer of this show. I don't say it because she happens to be sitting directly across from me now. I say it because I've been there, and I know it's the show to go to, it's the show to pay for, it's the show to see. Lily Von Stupp is the producer of that show. Hi, Lily.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Fantastic. And you are good. I will tell you, you were very happy today when I walked in and very excited. You're getting things done. You're booking. You're going. You're doing. You've been out of town. You've been traveling. You're finally back in town. Your suitcases are still packed. Your laundry is not done, but you're back in town.
I am.
That's big. How was the Monday Night Tease this week?
Fantastic.
It was your friend Tito Benito's birthday party.
Yes.
And there was a party, and there was a birthday, and there was dancing, and there was nudity. That's the way a birthday should be run, I think.
They're a good party.
Yeah, and it was fun and exciting, and people had a good time, and everybody was great.
Yes.
All right, and Tito was there, and your other friends were there, like Lux Lacroix.
Yep. Jeez Louise, Lux Lacroix.
There may have been some sort of dance-off, from what I understand.
I want there to be. Oh my God, I want the two of them to dance off. They are both amazing dancers. They are about the same size, and they both have pussycats named Gucci.
Are you talking about me now or them?
I'm talking about Lux Lacroix and Jeez Louise.
I see. I thought we were talking about me, because a lot of that would describe me.
I don't think so.
Well, they don't allow pets in my building, but other than that, everything else pretty much described me.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm sorry there was no dance-off, but it's good to know that it's in the future. They're going to be one. and it will be at the Monday Night Teas.
I hope so.
And if you join the Facebook.com/Monday Night Teas page, you will find out all about that dance-off when it's scheduled, way ahead of the crowd, folks. Because there's going to be tickets blowing out the door for that. And you're going to want to be on the cusp of that, on the vanguard of the ticket purchases for that dance-off. So join the Facebook.com/Monday Night Teas page and find out about it before the Great Unwashed. But the show went well Monday. It was fantastic. Everybody had a good time.
It was amazing. It was a great show.
I understand there's a show coming this Monday, too. Hence the title, Monday Night Teas.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Who will be there?
Well, it is the Erotic Titty Prince show. Woo!
Oh,
Yay!
if I remember correctly, our friend David Hernandez did some music for that.
He did. He has the opening music for the show.
Nice. Who's going to be on this show?
Lex Lacroix and the gang.
All right.
Everybody's in the show. I mean, it's a friggin' amazing show. We've done this show now 4 times.
Yeah.
I think sells out every time. It's amazing.
It is a good show, and I was hoping to come. And I will be honest. If I go there, and if we cannot make babies, maybe we can make some time. So hopefully.
That's not a bad idea.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. So that's going to be a fantastic show this Monday. And tickets are on sale now at brownpapertickets.com. Go ahead and pick up tickets.
Sold out, so yeah.
And someone wrote me, who was it? They're going to be here in February, I think. And they said they were coming to the Monday Night Teas and they wanted me to go.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, probably. I think it was an Australia. I think it's an Australia person.
Maybe.
Yeah, could be. And I think it would be totally cool if Jill was in town too. It'd be like a whole festival. It'd be an extravaganza. But yeah, so I don't remember. It may have been an Australia person. I'll have to check my Facebook and emails with a Z. But I know that person wanted me to go to the Teas, and they said they would be there. And it was actually refreshing because they were like, "I'm going to be in town. Would you possibly be going to the Monday Night Teas?" It wasn't like, "Hey, I'm going to be in town. Can I paint your fence?" Like, there's a lot of people who do that. Hey, you want to go have a sandwich? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. I did that with our friend Patrick Volker, who I may have mentioned on this show. Patrick wanted to have lunch, and I was like, yeah, okay. And then we went to lunch, and this is totally true. I took him to my Mediterranean joint, and I got grilled trout, and he got food. It was awesome. We ate, and then the bill came, and I'm like, and I said, I got this. And Patrick's like, no, you don't have to do that. I go, come on, Patrick, you're in my town. I don't mind paying for lunch. And then Patrick said, okay. And in my head, I went, fuck you, Patrick. Why am I paying for lunch?
You're an idiot.
I'm the talent, motherfucker. Step up and take the bill.
Such a jerk.
Why am I paying for lunch? And so I sat there and I was like, all right. So sure enough, I paid for my lunch and Patrick Volker's lunch after he told me all about his, and it's funny, like he's the dude who's got like an inner city teaching job where he teaches choir to the disadvantaged. And I had to listen to all that nonsense. And then the bill comes and I pick it up. I pay it and he says, yes. What are you saying yes for fuck's sake, Patrick Volker? So I was like, oh man, all right. So I paid for lunch and he was super cool and I dropped him off and he was great. He was really fun. And then he donated twice the amount of lunch to the show. Like the next day, like literally he donated like whatever the amount of lunch was, he donated twice the amount to the show. And I was like, yeah, that's what Patrick Volker does. That's how he does it. Patrick Volker, he lures you into thinking that he's a jagoff and then he comes through strong and totally redeems himself. So whoever this Australia person is, I think it's an Australia person who wants me to go to the Teas. I don't remember. I have no idea, but maybe we'll see. It's February. I look, folks, I'm very tied up, as you know. I'm bookings months in advance, but hopefully I can make it. We'll see what happens. But if you want to go to the Monday Night Teas, you don't have to ask my permission or make sure that I'm going to be there. Just get a ticket from brownpapertickets.com and look up Lily or look up Monday Night Teas and go ahead and grab tickets. And like I said, you can go to, is it MondayNightTeas.com for any information about upcoming shows. Go to Facebook.com/Monday Night Teas and find out about all the cool stuff. Now you were in Tucson this weekend, yes?
Yes, I was in Tucson.
And how'd it go?
Yeah, fantastic.
It was great, right? You taught classes and you danced and you emceed and you hosted and everything went really well, you said.
Yep.
And you're going back, I think.
Yep.
Awesome. And then you have other shows that are coming. You want to plug those now? You want to talk about them later, or when are they? Later. Okay. But it turns out that Lily's going to be doing a lot more live stuff, it looks like. And
Out
going
of LA.
out of Los Angeles. Yeah, she'll be on the road and doing stuff to where you can go see her and meet her and do that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's plans for me to do that too someday. I might do that. Right? Sure. Maybe I'll do that. I'll tell you this. Lily and I will be doing completely different acts. So if you go see the two of us separately, you will not have to worry about any joke overlap. Because I will not be wearing any pasties and she will not be yelling. So there you go. Works out perfect.
I love
Joke overlap. Actually, I went to a school with a guy named Joe Coverlap. Isn't that strange? That's weird that would rear its head. So go to all those websites and join all those places and find out about Lily and where she's going to be and all the shows and buy tickets to the Monday Night Teas and enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. That's what I say. Now, let's talk about this. This thing that I was supposed to talk about earlier in the show, this thing I probably should have mentioned up top. This is called Burying the Lead, ladies and gentlemen. But now I've got my shovel out, my tongue shovel, and I'm going to unearth the lead right now. I'm unburying the lead. If you go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com, folks, plenty of pages there. Like I mentioned, the Boy with the Horns page. You can go and look at some previous artwork. I believe there's still the page where you can hear sound drops from the show. Explosions of Id, I believe. There's all sorts of pages there to go look at all sorts of neat things. Go read the blog I haven't updated in 9 years. That's fun. That's going to be a great thing. I should be writing on that, right? But what am I going to write? The things I don't say here? I say everything here. Pointless. I should just be dropping little videos or vignettes in there, right? I should be using the internet for what it's for. I should be staying in contact with my public and letting them know that I'm still around. I should be doing little audio drops with my phone and just uploading those to the blog so people can hear them, right? Little bite-sized podcasts. I have all of these ideas, folks. And yet, I execute none of them. But I tell you about them, certainly. But now I will tell you this, folks. There is a page at MikeSchmidtComedy.com called the Joe Business page. And that's where we put a bunch of merchandise up for you to purchase. And, we have different themes for the Joe Business page. We had the Kiss Love Gun theme where I was there and there was a bunch of ladies. And the present theme was a sorority house. And I was on a ladder looking in the window and there were some ladies there and we were selling products. Well, I'm here to tell you this, folks. We have updated the Joe Business page.
What?
There is new artwork available right now at the Joe Business page. And you know what? You're thinking to yourself, well, new artwork. I'm going to go check that out because certainly I love all of the stuff that David Mex Hernandez churns out. I want to take a look at it. And also, I want to go ahead and put my cursor over all of the links and see if there's any hover text that Mike may have written that might be funny or interesting and might make me think that I want to do something here on this page. So it's a combined effort. It's David making an image and me writing some words and all that kind of stuff. But you're thinking to yourself, why, when the sorority page was so successful, why would you update the Joe Business page? Well, there's really only one reason why, folks. And that's because we are offering different merchandise.
What?
By different merchandise, I mean we have discontinued some of the things that we were selling. They are off the page and off the page for good. Don't write me looking for them. You had your chance to buy them. So they're gone. However, we do still have some other things on the page now, and along with a new addition. But let me tell you about the older stuff that's still there. You know, you can still get a Yerk Dirt Dirt shirt. You can still get the Tweaked Audio stuff because Tweaked Audio still sponsors this show. Thank you, Bruce. We appreciate that. We have artwork for the show still available. You can go ahead and pick that up. And we have, of course, the podcast itself, downloads year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, and year 6 of this podcast available individually or together as the Reservoir Schmidt Dogs box set. You can buy those. Now, you'll be thinking to yourself, where will I going to find these links to buy these? Well, if you go to the Joe Business page with its new black and white layout, you will see the black and white layout. But however, there will be some color, bursts of color. And on behind those bursts of color, you click on those, and that will take you directly to PayPal to purchase said merchandise. Just go ahead and find those ladies with their sandwich boards. And I know you're thinking, what? It's Depression era Schmitty. It's Depression era 40-year-old boy. He's sitting there. He's selling pencils. He's selling apples. Just go check it out. I don't want to describe too much, but I want you to go check it out and look around at the hover text. And I want to tell you this: the donation link on that page is now changed. It is now down in the front of the actual little Schmitty. You'll see it. It's got a little Schmitty with its pocket out. Click on that. You can donate to the show. $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month, or an individual donation, not unlike our friend Patrick Volker. If you want to pay for a phantom lunch, go ahead and use that. I will tell you, we have the Amazon link. And you used to have to click on a pennant on the wall, but now there's a sandwich board, and it says very clearly on there, Amazon. So when you click on that, you will go to the Amazon store, our Amazon store, which I'm actually going to have to tinker with for Black Friday. Because I guess I'm not using it to its full potential. You guys are really cool, and you're buying some Amazon stuff for me. And you know what? I'm supposed to, hey, I got to tell you, there's people who've bought Amazon things, right? I'm supposed to tell people, tell you who they are and what they've done. Hold on, let me try to pull up my phone. I was woefully unprepared. I was ready to plug, and then I forgot that I got to tell people about this. Let's go to the mail, and let's go here. Do I have do I have the spreadsheet for our friend KC? I don't know if I do. But you know what I'm going to do? Because there's stuff to plug. I'll get to Casey again because Casey's hogging a lot of airtime. But our friend Jason bought a bunch of stuff through the. Oh, you know what? This is funny. Jason is the guy who's going to be here in LA in February and wants me to go to the Tees. That's weird. I thought it was an Australian dude. But Jason, he did. He bought a bunch of stuff through Amazon, and he's like, "Hey, I'd love to stop by the Monday Night Tees. Hope you're around." He's here with his wife in February. So, Jason, I hope to be there, particularly because you went to Amazon and you bought a Chemex 10-cup Classic Series glass coffee maker, and you did it through our store. Thank you. That was super cool of you. And not only that, but it seems like you purchased Ms. Moo's Women's Petula Pump Black 6.5 medium. All right. Jason, I would ask you a favor. If you're coming to the Tees, wear those shoes. I want to see you in some lady shoes, my friend. You also bought like some coffee filters and you bought a Gigamic Corridor. Dude, you bought a ton of stuff. Good for you. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Oh my God, those are expensive. You bought some Steve Madden boots in cognac. Those are an 11. Do me a favor, wear one of those and one of the lady shoes. That way I'll know it's you, Jason. I'll know it's you at the Tees from you, the guy limping in a lady shoe with one Steve Madden fucking boot on. Good for you. And if you buy stuff through the Amazon store, like I said, you click on that Amazon sandwich board and it takes you to our Amazon store. And then you can click through to the real Amazon store. And anything you buy, we will get credit for. Thank you so much. And I got to tell you, with Black Friday coming up and Christmas coming up, the more you use that link, the more it helps the show. Thank you so much for thinking of us. I do appreciate it very much. And then send me what you bought and I'll read it on the show and I'll thank you and I'll talk about you and I'll say good things about you. I don't know if Jason wants me to say his last name. That's the thing. I'm not sure. If you guys want me to say your last name, include that in the email, because otherwise I'm going to just say your first name like I did with Patrick Volker. Also, so I want to tell you this, we've got the Amazon link, we got all the other stuff there available for sale, but now, folks, we redid the page because we had to introduce something new to the page.
What?
Something new
What?
to offer from 40-Year-Old Boy Industries.
What?
Something new for you guys to purchase to not only help the show, but to give yourselves some personal enjoyment in knowing that you've satisfied your entertainment quota for the week. Folks, you wanted the best. You got the best. The hottest Podfest performance in the world. Schmidt! That's right, Schmidt Alive 2 is available now, ladies and gentlemen. On the page, you will see the link, and it says it right there. You wanted the best, and you click on that. And here's the thing, folks. I sold Schmitty Comes Alive, and that was the audio from the 2012 Podfest. And a lot of you picked that up, and you had great things to say about it. And thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm glad you bought that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was proud of it, but I will tell you this. As proud as I was of Schmitty Comes Alive, I am that much. I'm doubly proud of Schmidt Alive 2. And to celebrate the fact that I am doubly proud of it, the Schmidt Alive 2 package is 2 entities.
What?
For you. That's right. Schmidt Alive 2, the 2 not only indicates the second release in the live icon or milieu of Mike Schmidt, but also the 2 represents the fact that when you buy this, you get 2 different things. Well, not different things. Well, sort of different. Well, they're sort of. Just listen to me. Shut up. Not only do you get the audio for my performance at the 2014 Los Angeles Podcast Festival, the LA Podfest, the 2014 LA Podfest, folks. Not only do you get the 90-minute audio, you also get the 90-minute video.
What?
That's right. We have stepped up and offered an audio and video component. We are not only engaging your ears, folks, we have come for your eyes.
Holy crap.
So for the low price of $10, folks, you get not only the audio, so you can take it on the run, baby, like REO Speedwagon would tell you to do. If you want to go ahead and leave your house and listen to me in the car and listen to me performing live at the Podfest, you can do that with the audio. But if you want to anchor yourself to the desk, if you want to tether yourself, if you want to see what I look like when I'm talking, and I don't know if you'd want to do that, quite frankly, but it doesn't matter. Because if you buy this, you get both. You get the video, you get the audio. You can take it with you. You can take it walking with the audio, or you can sit down at your desk and watch me leap out and break a chair. You can watch that, folks. It was a 3-camera shoot. And I got it. So again, I am really proud of it because I had not been on stage in a year. A year, folks, I had not been on stage. And I went back on stage and I killed it for 90 fucking minutes. And it's a perfect example of this show because half of it is bees, just unleashing the bees and acting like a fucking idiot. And then half of it is a story. And I'm excited about it, and I think you should get it. And I think you should get it for your friends, get copies for you, buy it for your friends. Do not put the video on the Pirate Bay because it'll be rejected summarily because they don't want me. But do what you can to purchase it. So right now, if you go to the Joe Business page and you click on Schmidt Alive 2, you can buy the audio video combo package for $10. Helps me, helps the show. Thank you so much. Make Mike money. Hashtag all that other nonsense. But we did great. Thank you for coming out. It was a great crowd at the show. And the performance is really funny. And it's got a classic story from this show, but told live, so you'll be able to see it. And I'm really proud of it. So I hope you check it out right now and you go ahead and purchase Schmidt Alive 2, available at the new Black and White Joe Business page. Go check it out. And this was done in record time too. It was funny. I talked to Max. I'm like, we should kind of turn this over, and he gave me some ideas for the what we were going to do. And I looked at the roughs, and there were 2 ideas that jumped out at me right away. I threw them to him, and we said, this is the way to go. The depression thing, and he got to do black and white, which is interesting. I just, the thing is, I'm so lucky to have a guy like David who just wants to do it, who just jumps in with both fucking feet. Because again, I'm dragging my feet, as anybody who has sent me an email in the last 3 years knows. I mean, you know that I'm that guy, and I want to try to contact people. And you know what's funny? I will tell you this: people write me on Facebook. Like, there's a friend who just wrote me on Facebook, and she's someone I know from school, and I guess she's selling stuff now, or she's starting something. And she wrote me the note, and I read it, and I was kind of like, oh, that's cool. Good luck to her. And then I didn't answer her because that's, why would I do that? That would only be polite and nice. So then she wrote me like a day later and was kind of like, hey, what's going on? Because I forget that Facebook tells you that you read their note. And I guess I didn't think it was a personal note to me because it was kind of a shotgun approach to everybody to say, hey, I'm doing this, you should get on board. But she did address it personally to me. She wrote my name in there. So obviously she did undertake it to write me. But it made me kind of, I didn't answer because, like I said, I thought it was almost like a shotgun to everyone. But then she wrote me back and she's like, hey, dude, you going to answer me? Kind of. And it wasn't that mean, but that's how I read it, of course, because that's how I read fucking everything. But also at the same time, I don't have Messenger on my phone, so I have to answer you from my house. And when I'm at my house, I'm not, what am I going to do at my house? Answer emails? I don't think so. I got Dragnets to watch. I got fucking Food Factory to watch. Dude, I found a new show. Oh my God, I found a new show. It's called Food Factory. So it's like that show. Remember the show? I told you I watched the show Unwrapped, because Unwrapped is you just sit there like a vegetable and you watch people make fucking cans of tomato sauce. I mean, it's just so great. It's just conveyor belts and a guy narrating and people in hairnets and they're putting stuff in cans, and I fucking love it. And now this show, Food Factory, the only thing I don't like is they kind of try to be funny, like they try to be all snarky, and they're like, yeah, so anyway, this happened with the potatoes. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to hear jokes about potatoes, all right? Just fucking put the potatoes in the bulldozer and run them through the water and then fucking cook them. But I can't stop watching Food Factory, just like I can't stop watching Snapped, and I can't stop watching fucking, what was the other show? Oh, Fatal Vows. Dude, Jill and I are watching Fatal Vows. It's just these couples who like wind up dating. And I didn't even tell Jill this. Yesterday I watched one. It was from Wisconsin. Because when I saw it was from Wisconsin, I'm like, dude, I got to tape it like immediately. Because again, Wisconsin's a small place and they all fucking know one another because they're all in the goddamn bar drinking together. And sure enough, it's this woman in like Medford, Wisconsin. And she's 23 and she's got 2 kids before she's 20. And she doesn't know what she's going to do. And then she meets a guy who's like 32 and owns a fucking truck repair shop. She's like, I love you. Stay with me. And so she moves into his house, and then they get a fucking trailer. And then he winds up disappearing and she goes out with some dude at the bars every night. And I'm like, oh, dude, really? This dude is bailing you and your kids out, and you fucking take off and you're going out with some young dude now? And sure enough, then she's like, oh yeah, I wound up killing him, and I shot him because literally, this show starts as a tiny snowball, and at the end, the hundreds are dead at the bottom of a ravine. I mean, I get that. Believe me, if there's any show in the history of the world that does not need to be transcribed for posterity, it's this one. I like when nobody can see the seams. I like when I'm able to kind of just, fly with the bees wherever. When I have to actually stop the bees and ask for directions, that's not fun. I just like unleashing the bees, but when the bees have to stop in mid-flight and we all have to kind of look at each other and bust out a fucking map, that's not fun at all. I want to saddle up these bees and ride, goddammit! I'm done.